guys, I hope everyone's having a great night. I hope we can get through this without one of my children waking up. So today's conversation is highly requested. I am going to talk to you guys about a few different things. One being foundation, the other being concealer and contouring and all that great jazz. So I am going to walk through a full face of makeup with you guys. And by full face, I mean full foundation, highlighting, contouring, blush, all of that stuff. So I've already got my eyeshadow done, so that's on another tutorial. But we will work through our skin. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we're priming our skin. Why is this important? It's important because you want to add something underneath your foundation that's going to help it stick. Primer is also going to help prep your skin in any areas where you might have trouble. So say you have really oily areas on your face. Say you're really oily through here, here, and here in your T-zone. And you typically tend to have larger pores when you're oily. So if you use a primer that works for larger pores and works for oily skin, that's going to help your foundation wear longer. Same thing if you have dry skin, if you use a moisturizing primer or a beauty oil, that's going to help your foundation look more flawless on your skin. So today I am going to use the SMASHBOX Photo Finish primer. I'm just going to use a dime size amount on the back of my hand, and I'm going to work it downwards on my face. So then the next step for me is going to be my foundation. So that's another thing. I tend to like to use more of a light coverage sheer foundation. This works good for my skin because then it's not too heavy and it doesn't settle in my fine lines, and I tend to have a little bit of creasing right here. So if I use a lighter foundation, I can build it up a little bit and it doesn't look as heavy. If you have really young, youthful skin, you can probably get away with using a full coverage foundation. But for most people, I would try to stay away from it unless you have a lot to cover, just because it can look really heavy and cakey. I hear that word a lot, cakey. I don't want to look cakey. Then you want to stay away from full coverage foundations. Some are really great, but you know, most can be pretty heavy. So I am using MAC Studio Face and Body Foundation. I know a lot of you guys have heard me talk about this. I love this foundation. It's my favorite. I never feel like it feels really heavy on me, and it's pretty great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit, I'm going to put it on the back of my hand. I know it seems like I'm using a lot, but that's because it's buildable. I'm going to take my damp beauty sponge. Yes, you need to use it damp. And I'm going to stipple this all over my face. This is in the shade C1. If you have a lot of wrinkling or sagging underneath your eyes, you might want to avoid adding your foundation underneath your eyes because you'll want to add your concealer there. Notice I'm going over top of some of the same spots again where I need a little more coverage. I can do that with this foundation. You want to make sure that you run this underneath your chin and down your neck. My ears are rosy, so I'm gonna get my earlobes. Just so that it doesn't end up with that line right here. You wanna make sure that everything's the same color. Okay, so now that I'm done that, I'm going to go in with my concealer. So I'm going to use a creamy concealer, and I'm going to use this for two things. I'm going to use it underneath my eyes to highlight, and I'm also going to use this to cover up any darkness I might have under. If you have a really dark under eye, then you might have to use a color correcting concealer. So the one I'm using today is the NYX Cosmetics Can't Stop, Won't Stop Concealer. I'm gonna create a triangle underneath my eye. You want your concealer under your eye to be at least one shade lighter than your foundation. This is gonna help brighten your under eye. You don't want it to be a lot lighter, just a little lighter. I'm gonna also do a little bit on my chin and a little bit in between my eyebrows. So this just makes my face more balanced. I'm not gonna just have a light right underneath my eyes and nowhere else on my face. So then I'm taking my beauty sponge and I'm just gonna blend this out. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about cream contouring. Lots of people do this differently. It really just depends on what works for you. This is what works for me, so I'm going to show you that. I am going to use the Wonder Stick by NYX Cosmetics. I got this in the shade Deep because I'm extra like that. If you don't want yours as dark, there's four shades total of this, so you don't have to get it so dark. This is the first time I'm using one this dark, so, well, not one this dark, this one this dark. So let's see how this goes. So I'm starting from this point in my ear, and I'm going to bring it out where my natural cheekbone comes. I'm not going to go like this and follow that line down because it's going to be too low on my face. Something I'm noticing about this shade is that it might be too warm for me. I'm also doing my jawline and my hairline. And I'm just gonna go a little bit down my nose just to keep everything balanced. Okay, so let's see how this blends out because, you know, I'm trying this for the first time on my camera. So I'm just gonna take a brush like this. This one is the Morphe MB30. And I'm just going to press this out a little bit just to blend it. Always blending up and back and never in circles. Right here anyways. You don't want to bring it down lower than where your cheekbone is. Okay, so this one's definitely too warm for me. I typically use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Stick Foundation in the shade Mink. I'm doing circles on my forehead, which is just fine. I should have known that deep would probably be a little too deep for me, but here we are. So if I left it like this, that would not be good. So I'm just going to take my sponge and I'm just going to make sure that it's all nice and blended. Once that's blended out, it's not that bad. So now I am going to set my foundation and my contour with powder. This is important for the longevity of your makeup. So anywhere that you have trouble with creasing or with things rubbing off, you want to make sure you set them with powder. That's one of the #1 mistakes I see people making is they would just leave it just like this. So under my eyes and anywhere where I put my concealer, I am going to use the Laura Mercier translucent powder. I'm going to apply this with my sponge. I do this for a couple of reasons. My sponge has a flat end, so it makes it so that I have more control where I'm putting the powder, and also because this presses it into my skin. That way I don't have a lot of excess powder sitting on top of my skin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start underneath my eyes and I'm just gonna press it in. With translucent powder, you wanna make sure you don't leave a lot on top of your skin because it can have flashback and it can make it look, your under eyes look white. I don't tend to bake because it makes my under eyes too dark, or too dry, sorry. Okay, another step you can take is to go underneath your contour. So, this just kind of carves your contour out. I make sure that I really get that extra powder up off my face. Okay, so just by doing that, I made it so that my makeup is going to last all day. Now to set my contour. This is important so that you don't have this moving around, or if you touch your face, so you don't leave fingerprints. I'm going to set my contour with Benefit Cosmetics HOOLA Bronzer. To do this, I'm going to use a contour brush. This one is the Morphe M405. So I'm going to then do the same thing where I start back here and I just let this fall off my face, following my natural cheekbone, and then always blending up and back into your hairline. Okay, my next step is blush. Not everyone's a huge fan of blush. I am, however. So I am a fan of blush. I think it makes me look healthy. I think it makes everyone look healthy. I don't like it when you wear too much, but some people can pull it off, so it just really depends on your personal preference. Today I am going to use Peaches by MAC Cosmetics, and I'm going to use a brush that looks like this. This one is like a $3 brush I got off of Amazon when I first started. It's a Coastal Scents brush. It's like super affordable. What I like about it is that it's super movie, so it's not really dense, and so it's not going to apply too much product to my cheeks. So I'm gonna get some blush on this brush, I'm gonna give it a little tap, and then I'm going to press this into my apples of my cheeks. Okay. And lastly for our face would be a shimmer highlight. With a shimmer highlight, you want to be careful because if you use too much, it can show all of your flaws. So if you have any wrinkling or texture on your skin, it's gonna show it all. So be careful when applying your shimmer. It can, you know, look very pretty and healthy, or it can make you look like, you know, you've got shiny stuff on your face. So I am using MAC Cosmetics Soft and Gentle. This one is a super pretty natural highlight. I love this one. I'm going to use a nice fluffy blending brush. This one is the Morphe M501. And I'm just going to go in and apply it on the high planes of my face. Nice light pressure so that you can blend it in nice. Down the center of your nose, your Cupid's bow. I put a little bit on my chin, and with a different brush, my brow bone. So there you have it. That is my foundation, concealer, contour, highlight video. That's how I do it on myself, and this is how I do it on most clients. So let me know if you have any questions, and I really hope you learned a lot. Thanks.